Hi class, today I want to do my presentation on one of my favorite shows, Criminal Minds. I'm going to be looking at Season 2, Episode 15, a episode called Revelations. It is in reference to not only the Bible, the book of the Bible, but also revelations about the characters themselves. And you're going to find out a lot about the actual unsub or unidentified subject is what unsub stands for, but you'll find that a lot of the characters refer to this person as an unsub. And you'll see it in my presentation also that I use that term. So let's start unpacking some of this and talk a little bit about the characters themselves. The first character I want to talk about is Aaron Hotchner. He is the co-unit chief of the BAU. He is a former prosecutor in the BAU, that stands for Behavioral Analysis Unit. This is a unit of the FBI that is specifically sent out to profile murderers, people who have kidnapped somebody. You're looking at multiple offenders across state lines in order for the FBI to be involved. Like I said, he's a former prosecutor. He's one of the most experienced agents as a part of this behavioral analysis unit. And one of his key characteristics is that he struggles this idea of balancing the demands of his job with his family life, which we see come up in this episode as well. By the other characters in there, they are asked at one point to describe some of his worst characteristics, and they call him a bully and a drill sergeant, and also really pare down on something that he himself knows that he struggles with as well, that he has no sense of humor, that he has a very serious demeanor, and they like to make fun of that a lot. The other character that I really want to dive into during this presentation is Dr. Spencer Reed. He is a special agent in these episodes, and for anybody who continuously watches this show, you will know that this is actually, he's very beginning as a field agent, really more experienced behind the scenes, and this is kind of his first times getting out there with a gun. So this is really a pivotal moment for him in the series. He's a genius who graduated Las Vegas High School at the age of 12. Holds PhDs in multiple areas, and by the end of this current season, it's even more than this. He's a genius with an IQ of 187 and can read over 20,000 words per minute, and has an eidetic memory. And that eidetic memory is one of the things that the BAU really depends on because of his profound encyclopedic knowledge. He's able to quote random facts about more subjects than just the ones that he holds PhDs in. He tends to only be slightly at a disadvantage when it comes to pop culture references, and the team will tend to make fun of him for that. And because of this idea that he is so young and has always been young and kind of has even, is portrayed by a baby-faced character, we see that he's introduced always as Dr. Spencer Reed. And it's in contrast to the other agents because they're introduced as SSA or Special Supervisory Agent. And the purpose of this, explained in the very beginning episode by Hotchner himself, he says that this is to create a respectable impression of him at first and deflect any judgments about his age. So knowing that he's a doctor at this young of an age kind of naturally gives him a command of respect, and you'll always see that they'll refer to them, this is SSA this is SSA this, and this is Dr. Spencer Reed. Obviously also giving him credit for the audience knowing that he is this, like I said, all knowledgeable kind of guy. And in this episode specifically, it's a lot of addressing with his mother, Diana Reed, who suffers from schizophrenia and is also currently committed to a mental institution. And we get flashbacks throughout the episode that really show his internal struggle with his decisions that he made on behalf of his mother, and his own possible bouts with mental illness and dependencies on chemicals. We'll eventually see he becomes drug dependent after this episode. So you're going to see this is actually a really deep episode for him specifically. So what does this have to do with detective fiction? Well, this show, unlike other shows, frequently actually shows the unsub or the person who committed the crime right up front. So we as the audience already know who committed the crime. Thus, their job is really to find the clues and figure out who this person is and why it is that they're doing what they're doing and where they're located, so that way they can take them down, and come in there and rush in at the end. This part was a two-part episode, of which the first part, they were actually still trying to find out who the unsub was, and they find themselves at the house of this unsub without knowing it, and are just going there to question him, and find out that Tobias is indeed the guy who they've been searching for, unbeknownst to them. And really, from here on, it becomes a kidnapping situation, of which Reed has to not only ascertain his location, but then also translate that to his team. So I kind of have a brief synopsis here to be able to watch about the episode that I found online. Let's take a look.
Hi, Mr. Henkel. There's a report that lists you as calling 911. You were walking your dogs.
That's wrong. I don't have dogs. JJ, it's him. The guy, JJ. He's the unsub. He's in the barn. Come on. You cover the front. I'll go around back. Hodge knows we're missing. He'll come looking for us. We'll always wait to buy us out. JJ! I tried to warn everyone. Okay.
Shoot him. Shoot him, you weakling. He's a Satan.
It's just me now. Who are you?
I'm Raphael. Here's to the old equipped you must confess your sins.
Sins?
Confess, Spencer Reed.
Lies. Who was here before?
Probably my father.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Please, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Trust me.
Please don't. Oh my God.
See these vermin? Choose one to die. I'll let you choose. The other heathens are watching. Choose a sinner to die, and I'll say the name and address of the person to be saved.
Margaret Street.
You've done your part. Now it's my turn. If you're watching, you're not responsible for this. You understand me? He's perverting God. That's my murder. We're stronger than him. We cannot break it.
So that was intense. Let's go ahead and break it down, looking at the clues presented here in our scene. Reed tells JJ that Hotch will find out where they are and come and help them in the very beginning of this scene, and it's actually the beginning of this second part of the episode. The knowledge that of Hotch and Reed's relationship here, and his trust in the fact that Hotchner is able to know about Reed and know about his location, is one of the ways that the team is able to locate him in the end. We see that the character played by James Van Der Beek has multiple personalities, and one of those is Raphael, and this is an archangel type of thing, where a person who thinks that he needs to put judgment onto others, and he says that he believes that Reed is somebody who's able to see into men's minds. And Reed really contradicts this and says, no, I'm just able to analyze behavior and watch people and know. So I know people, and therefore I'm able to watch behaviors. And this is actually something that he's able to use in order to find out his own whereabouts, is this ability to read people. Gideon, one of the last characters we saw in here, tells Garcia, their tech, that thinking of the house like a witness would tell them, what would that house tell them? And she's able to use those clues of the house and how the unsub would think in order to be able to also triangulate, to locate where Reed is. And then Reed himself is using body language and verbal cues, questioning to learn about both his captor or captors in this case, and the location where he's being held. He says another revealing line here. He says, "You tell me where we are and I will save us both." And it turns out that although he doesn't verbally say this is where we're located until close to the end of the episode, Reed is able to pick up those clues from not only his speech, but his body language. So here we're going to break down the second component, which is the timeline. And JJ states that Reed is the key to finding out where Reed is located, which is an ironic statement. She says that the one thing that we need to crack the case is Reed. And obviously that being the case of where he's located in the first place. Now, Reed does eventually provide his own escape. He does provide enough clues to show where he's at, but another method that they are able to use to pinpoint where those clues lead to is this idea of triangulation, which is one of Reed's methods. So JJ alludes to the fact that they needed him, and in order to use that, they used one of his methods, this idea of locating the unsub's comfort zone, and therefore the most likely area that he would be living or holding a prisoner. And they are able to do that through creating a timeline between the time of the murder, which is called in by a 911 call, the location of that murder in the first place, and then the time that it takes for him to post the video that he records of his crime and showing the punishment that's going to happen to these people based off their sins. So let's look at the dramatic conclusion of this episode.
Let him not deceive himself and trust in emptiness, vanity, falseness, and futility. He shall be his recompense. For God's will. I'm not a narcissist. No, that's right behind it. No, stop. All right, everybody right now, what's my worst quality? Okay, I'll start. I have no sense of humor. You can be a drill sergeant sometime.
You don't trust women as much as men.
Okay, good. I'm all these things, but none of you said that I ever put myself above the team, because I don't ever. Reed and I argued about the definition of classic narcissism. You knew that I would remember that. You also quoted Genesis chapter 23, verse 4 of you.
I am a stranger and a sojourner. You give me property for burial place among you, that I may bury my dead at peace.
He wouldn't get along with something else. He's an assault.
So here we see that Dr. Reed, in the face of death, realizes the fact that he is in a cemetery, and Tobias says, yes, indeed you are. And he says he was right, and he thinks it's too late, that he didn't give the clues in time, and that they're not going to be able to make it before he dies. Well, as in true TV fashion, Reed is rescued by the end, and as he embraces Hotchner, he says, I knew that you would understand. I knew you would understand my clues and be able to find me in the end. Class, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this kind of new modern spin, or my take on how detective fiction it can be seen in this show. And I hope that it has made you all Criminal Minds fans, as I am. Enjoy your day. And please feel free to look through these clips again. I apologize for the sound quality, but appreciate your time. Thank you.